Well, I didn't think I'd be going into a second episode so quickly, but I received a text, probably the same. Well, was it the same night? Yeah, it was. That opened up a whole can of worms for me. Like it made me think of so many different scenarios and situations and even stories I've heard. So I feel like this topic is a whole episode worthy. So I really just want to cover it. So really what it is, you know, if you want to sum it up, dating somebody with children. I get asked about that. And it's funny, it does happen a lot. And even my case, I'm 31 years old, a lot closer to 40 than 18. Yeah, it's fucking sad, right? But it's almost rare to meet a woman that doesn't have children. And me having a kid, I feel like it's a lot easier for me than it is with somebody who doesn't have a child. So I'm going to elaborate a little further. I'm just going to read his text. And I think it can apply either way. I mean, this isn't just like man for woman. It could be woman for man. It could be woman to woman. It could be man to man, regardless of the relationship. But I'll just go ahead and give a little preview. So, excuse me. I get a text that says, and I'm going to read it in a different voice so you don't know who the fuck it is. I mean, you probably don't anyway. How do you date someone with 2 kids? No, I'm not going to. I ain't gonna do that. No, he said, how do you date someone with 2 kids? LOL. Have you done it? And how is it? Now, I'm gonna play what I recorded him. I was being lazy. I didn't feel like texting. Well, it wasn't that I was busy. So I recorded an audio message and then I replied. But I'll go ahead and elaborate a little further after I play it, okay? To be completely honest with you, if you had to ask yourself or ask that question, then it's not for you, because when it doesn't phase you, you honestly don't. You're not trying to mold yourself to like it, or you're not trying to put yourself in the position to be ready for raising kids. It's kind of like me. I have a kid, so when I meet somebody with a kid, I don't think twice. I'm just like, oh, cool. For somebody who's insecure, unsure, you can't make yourself do it. That's probably one of the worst things or worst steps you can take. That's just my opinion. My opinion. Now, I'm going to elaborate a little further because, look, I don't want to offend anybody that got into a relationship with somebody who already started having children, and then maybe you were unsure at the beginning, and then things blossomed, and then it became beautiful. Great for you. That's a case that doesn't happen a lot. That's just the truth. Some people don't adjust. Some people want it to work, or some people aren't being self-honest and in a situation right now that they'd feel like shit leaving. I know that's the case because I mean, I've heard these stories. So really, that was my answer to him. And his reply was, it's crazy. She's super cool. We haven't even met because of, COVID. She's beautiful. And let me see. Wait, let me read this. I'm reading it wrong. She's beautiful. And she says she's got 2 kids, but I don't have to worry about that. But, I'm not saying I'm looking into a future, but you kind of have to. Which is a great point. And then he says, you're right, though. I'm not saying I wouldn't date someone with kids. I feel like for me, it's a huge responsibility. Bingo. And then I reply with another audio message. I'll play it. It really is, man. And honestly, you need to not look at the girl as a single unit, because she's a whole package now. Like, she might be cool and you think, oh, she's cool, but you're forgetting there's 2 other personalities that you have to go through first before you think you're compatible with this person. Now, when I'm talking about these 2 personalities, I'm not even referring to the children. Dating somebody with kids, this is a mistake I've seen people make even in my own family, even myself. It's not just having chemistry with the individual that you're interested in. And it's not even just their kids. It's their relationship with their kids. When you're talking about dating so-and-so, how are they as a parent? That's the next personality you got to think of. After that, I know this might sound creepy, but you got to imagine you in that household. You got to imagine you as the father or mother, husband or wife, in a whole family union, and how do y'all communicate? How do y'all get along? There's so many factors to think about for a young man who's single. From even my own experience, it's nothing I want to think about. And if I don't want to think about it, don't jump into it. No matter how cool the individual is, you can find yourself in a situation where you can be trapped, and you put yourself in that trap. That sparked so many things in my head that I just felt like I needed to cover it and talk about it, because that is one of probably 6 scenarios that I heard of just probably in the last 2 weeks. Now, for the people that are dating right now, that have kids, you'll probably find something out of this. For the people that are even considering dating someone with children, just hear me out. It's maybe the age group might make a difference, because it's true. Anyone around my age most likely have a child. I understand that. And as I got older, I want to date a woman with a child because I have one. You start meeting women that, or men, just in whatever case you're in. But when you meet someone that has a child, you can see that their mindset's a bit different. I'm not trying to say like they're more mature, or they're better than someone who doesn't. But what I'm saying is like, we both have an understanding. We both get that like every choice we make revolves around them first, even dating somebody. That's the kind of woman I'm looking for. And I hope in the case of you're a single parent, you're thinking the same way. And if you're not, hopefully you'll end up in that situation versus being with somebody who doesn't value your children and pretty much starts treating you like shit. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to give my own personal situations where I was dating somebody with kids or thought of dating someone with kids. And even in my youth, when I was making the decision of who or what what individual I should date, but also somebody dating me. So let's see. Let me go ahead and start off maybe me in the market with my daughter, because right now she's 12. But let's just say while she was 5 or 6, that age group. Because it's a lot different too when they're older and younger. And I'll explain why. You'll find it somewhere in this podcast. But me, myself, when I was probably 24, 23, when it came to wanting to date somebody, my daughter was everything. And she still is. But I'm saying all the decisions that I made, even to keep the career that I was in, everything revolved around her. Excuse me. Because if I didn't have any income, it affects her. If I dated somebody who was not good for her, I didn't want her to grow up being affected by that. So every decision I made was based off of her. Now, I can't say that for a lot of people in that age group, and I can't even say that for the women I've even come across now. We tend to get selfish, and when we meet somebody, we get so excited, even with our, being a parent or them being a parent, that we can leave our kids out of the equation because we're so excited about that relationship. We're so excited to get to know that person. That's why I said what I said to my friend, where you got a few more personalities to go through before you think this is the one, or you should keep dating them. And for myself, that was on my mind. There was little things and little things I would test, and it's not a fucked up thing, but as I was talking to somebody, I would let them know right off the bat. And I also would let them know that was my priority. And most likely it might be months, depending on how things go, before you even meet my child. That is pretty much how I was. So back then too, I would say I was a bit ignorant, because even having a child, I was so like, man, I don't want to have any more. It's like I didn't want to date women with children. That sounds fucked up, right? But you got to understand, like, I was a young man. I was traumatized of raising my child because me and my daughter's mom didn't have a good dynamic. We didn't have a good ending situation then. And I just attributed that to, that's how it is every time. So I just didn't want it. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want the complications of things. So that was a bit selfish of me. But it was who I was. But things that I would test were, I just want to be asked questions sometimes of not just how you're doing, but hey, how's your daughter? Did you talk to her today? Knowing her interests, or bringing them up, or those little things mean a lot. And I'm pretty sure to any parent out there that's single, that stuff, it speaks volumes. We can find ourselves dating people that are a bit selfish or don't think about those things. And if you start measuring those things, I feel like you won't run into a situation where y'all fall in love, but y'all don't fall in love with your kids in consideration. Now, as I've grown older, and like I said, a lot more closer to 40 than I am 18, I want someone with kids. And the reason why, of course, is the mindset change. You know, I've been through some stuff where people pretended to be good parents. And I learned my lesson from that. You know, it takes a bit of time, because I don't want to sound fucked up in generalizing things, but I meet a lot of men and dudes that, like, even people that I would say was a friend, they're shitty dads, deadbeat dads. But when they go out and date women, they pretend like they're really great fathers, or they post them on their social media. And look, I'm not one to judge, man, but you can't do that. You know, that's one thing that really strikes me and it irks me the most is bad fathers. You know, because I stepped up. I'm a father to my daughter. I love her to death. That I couldn't see myself abandoning her or pretending to have a relationship with her when I don't. Because she's going to get older. Probably, let's say if I wasn't in her life like that, and do some research and see me being all fake about it, you know how bad that's going to hurt her. She's already hurt because I'm not in her life, but two is pretending to be. I ain't shit for that. And look, it's not just all men. What I'm saying is I dated women who acted like they were about their kids, who acted like they're everything, they're my world, putting them all over their social media. And then you find out when you start dating them, they don't even have custody of their kids. And the circumstances I've been lied to of why it didn't happen. It's like, oh, it was always the other person's fault. And I'm telling you this, in the state of Texas, way more easier to have your kids as a woman, the mother, than it is a man. I know that from experience. So no excuse in the world is going to change that. Now, I apologize if you have rough circumstances and it was hard for you to have custody. Okay, but you got to be self-honest. When you're dating somebody, don't use that as a charm or an accessory. It's like, oh, my kids are my world, or my kids are this and that. And you know that's not the truth. You can't play that game, because there's people like me who value that. Now, getting back to personal experience. Now, I said as I was young, I wasn't into dating women that had children, just because I didn't want to relive that over again. I wasn't ready for it, right? But I got into a relationship where somebody was used to being on their own, and now they're trying to date somebody with the kid. And like I told you, I valued certain things. I valued, hey, how's your daughter? Oh, I thought about her. I was going to buy her this. Like, that was cool. Not the fact of just buying something, but it's just thinking about the person, thinking about my daughter. I thought that was amazing. I was wowed by it, right? But this is a scenario that I ran into that a lot of you might be dealing with. And I think a lot of people need to hear this, because you're probably guilty of being this way. So the individual that I was dating, as much as she wanted to be close to me, as much as she wanted to be a great mother, I don't think the intent was fully there, and not because she's a bad person. I think that she fell in love with me, and she knew the way to my heart was through her. But the problem was she couldn't handle knowing that the mother of my child was still in my life. And when I say that, I don't mean that, oh, like we hung out or, we talked every day. Any kind of form of communication always regarded my daughter. But there was an expectation there that, like, she had to be non-existent. Or there was some kind of intimidation factor that wasn't, it wasn't intentional. That's the truth. It was really hard for me to date women because they felt that way. And it's not like it was a lot of them, but there's some that just can't handle knowing that the other parent is in the picture. And in this case, that's what would happen. Because look, my sisters are in the beauty industry, and so is my daughter's mom. Coincidentally, it's not like they joined together. And because she's been a family friend for years, they still keep in touch. They still do work with each other, all that stuff. I've even seen them hanging out. Hey, that's their life. I don't have no control over that. So in that relationship I was in, it seemed like she was trying to win people over by doing for my kid, because she didn't like the fact that other person was in the picture. She didn't want that person. The sight of her, the mention of her name, you would see all the energy drained from her. And I hated to see it. And to pretend that I hate her too. I didn't want to be that way. I didn't want to be like, well, I can't stand her. Like, I don't have no feelings. I'm very neutral towards it at this point. Like, why can't I co-parent? See, what I'm trying to say is, and this goes for men too. You got to be self-honest in what you want. When you're dating somebody, consider the fact of if they have kids, you really, 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 really got to see their intent. Like how they are as a parent and how y'all would be as a unit together. Because some people pretend that they can handle it and they force this shit. They force it that much because they wanna have someone, but at what cost? And as you play yourself as you're doing this, I mean, it's just gonna end up not being a good thing because that's the thing you have to consider too. The other parent still being in the life, or the other parent being dramatic. And that's another point I want to get to is I know people are going to get offended when I tell you this, but you need to man the fuck up or woman the fuck up. When you split from your baby mama, baby daddy, whatever the fuck you want to call it, when y'all split, right? The moment you see your ex get with somebody, don't react in the way of, I don't want that other person. I don't want my kid calling that other person mom or dad. Or you got to really, really, really think about what you're saying. Like, don't deprive your kids the opportunity to be in another household that has both parents, whether it's mother and father, dad and dad, mom and mom, whatever. But please don't be so ignorant off of spite, or don't be so bitter. I have a lot of respect for people that get into people's lives or join somebody that has children and they step up and be a parent in that household. That's something you got to respect. Like, well, why would you spit on that? Why would you be so mad that you don't want them happy? You don't want your kids happy. Now, in the case of if the other person's a piece of shit, hey, okay, I get it. But there's just this automatic reaction that I see when couples split and they get in other relationships that baby mama, baby daddy start tripping, and then it just fucking gets worse from there. And then the beginning of that relationship is now fucking rocky or scorned because look what the fuck just happened. Like, this was such a rough start. Instead, take a breather, think about the situation, and think about if this works out, how beneficial it could be for your kid. Calling somebody mom or dad is not an easy feat for a kid too. But when they feel it, and they say it, then I can only respect it. I have a lot of respect for my daughter's stepdad. I didn't start off getting mad about that kind of thing because, look, man, it's not easy. I was in my early 20s not being able to date someone with a kid, let alone get serious with them or have them move in with me after, a year dating. It wasn't ideal for me. So somebody like that wants to step up and be a parent to your kid, why would I jump in the way of that if I don't see any signs of them being a bad person? I don't want to deprive any kid of being in a household with both parents because I'm going to be honest with you here, and it's something you got to consider if you're a single parent and you know this. And don't be sad about this news. Kids that grow up in two different households aren't normal kids. My daughter is not a normal kid. She has two different households. We're not going to be exactly the same in how we parent. She's going to respect us differently. Maybe she's going to try to escape to one or the other when she gets in trouble. They almost become two different people. And in school and how they, socialize and things like that, there is a difference. Now, in today's society, it almost seems normal that most kids don't have both parents. Well, then you can see the shift in how kids are today and how easy it is for men to abandon their kids. Or women. So that's why I do pay a lot of respect to men who step up, to women who step up and want to do that. Now, me dating at this age, it's like I couldn't date somebody that didn't have a kid. And it's only just because the times that I've talked to women that didn't have kids, I mean, they're so used to doing things on their own. They go and travel and I don't want to take that away from them if they're enjoying it, because that's not me either. I have a kid that I have to work for, provide for, and if anything ever happens, I have to be ready for. I can't take all these trips, and if I do, she's got to come. That is why, it's hard to date somebody who doesn't have one. And now if I'm looking or talking to someone, I feel more comforted when I know that they have one. I think that's why I did tell my friend what I told him. I don't want to I don't want to take away his opportunity to be happy, but I'm going to warn him and let him know, look, I know she sounds great, but there's a lot more things you got to consider before you jump into that. That's a really big deal. I just hope anybody who's listening to this gains something from it. I mean, maybe I'm just all over the canvas with this topic, but it's just because like it opened up so many scenarios and things that I've dealt with and stories that I've heard. But me personally, it's not a normal dating game for me, and anybody that I meet, I hope they can relate. I hope they can understand. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings, but it is what it is. You created life. You take care of it. You value it. And any choice you make, you should be considering it before your own. Love is no excuse. When you fall in love with someone and you meet somebody, they got to love your world just as much as you love theirs, not just love each other. It's not you and them against the world. It's your world and their world colliding. That's what it should be. I'm not trying to be no fucking love guru or nothing like that, but I'm just telling you, like, that's what it has to be. I didn't learn that till later in life. I'm fucking 31 right now saying this shit, but early 20s, I wouldn't have been saying this. Thank God. I'm a great father, and I was since the beginning of my child's life, but at least I had that feature, because if I didn't, I think I'd be in a lot worse situations, especially right now. Maybe another one, maybe another 2 kids with women that I'm not with. But if I'm going to sum it all up, it's like this. If you're a single individual and you meet somebody and they have kids, evaluate the situation. Don't just think of all the chemistry you and that individual share. You got to think about how they are as a parent, and you really got to even think about a future with this person in the same household with their kids. How would you get along with them? How could you be a parent to kids that aren't exactly yours? Could you love them almost exactly like if they were yours? And could you handle seeing the kid's other parent in the picture still? And even if they weren't, that might be easier for you, but I'm just saying, you got to consider those factors. If it just sounds too complicated, don't jump into it. If you want to endure it and see what happens, all power to you. For those that have kids that are in the market and dating, don't think so selfishly. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm telling you how to think, because if you already think that way, great. But be self-honest with yourself. If you're an amazing parent and you work really hard and you love your kids and you do everything for them and anything for their happiness, then I know you're going to make the right decision when it comes to dating and getting serious with somebody. But for those that want to pretend and act like great parents, act like a great dad or a great mom, you have to really be self-honest and don't mislead. Because there's people out there that have kids that could use or it'd be beneficial for them to date somebody who's willing to take in their children. And you're over here playing games with someone that's taking this risk. It is a risk, because when you break up, you don't break up with one person. You break up with the whole family. I know this from experience. So yeah, I'm sorry if I got all over the place. I can condense this some way, somehow. I just really felt compelled to talk about it. There's probably going to be more I want to say. It's just I'm just getting it all out. I don't rehearse these things. I don't write nothing down. I'm pretty much just going off the head. But, these are one of those cases. And I really hope people gain something from this. There's going to be episodes I'm just bullshitting and being funny. But real shit, this topic came up so many times. And I felt like, damn, so many ways to approach this. I'm just going to give my own experience. I'm going to give you what I was as a youngster. I'm going to give you at it now. And then I'm going to show you about me dating and people dating me. Self-honesty is the key in all of this. What do you really want? Sometimes we get too excited when we meet people. We kind of forget about that. You got to think selfishly there. But when you jump into those relationships, it's no more selfishness. It's about everyone. So pretty much that's all I'm going to say on that. If any more ideas come to mind, it might come out in another podcast, or I might have somebody on who's probably dealing with the same experiences. So look, you guys, I appreciate the first listens I got on the first episode because I wasn't expecting that. Real shit. I mean, there's no reason for you to listen to me. I just have my view on life and I say it. So thank you again. Join me on the next one, and thank you guys. Love you.